The discarded son. The winter in New York City is enough to chill the bones, but for 13-year-old Adrian Vance, his father's words were colder. Adrian's father, Silas Vance, was the titan of a massive Wall Street bank. After Adrian's mother passed away, Silas quickly married his ambitious secretary, Eleanor. To secure her own son Caspian's future, Eleanor poisoned Silas's mind, convincing him that Adrian was mentally unstable and a threat to the family's prestigious reputation. On a frozen December night, Silas pushed Adrian into a yellow cab and sent him to a brutal remote boarding school. Silas handed him a worn wallet containing a single $20 bill and said, "From today, you are no longer a Vance. You are not worthy of the name." As the taxi pulled away, Adrian watched the glowing lights of his father's penthouse fade. He clutched the $20 bill and made a silent vow he would return not to reclaim his place, but to erase his father's legacy. The ghost in the system. 18 years passed. Adrian Vance had ceased to exist, replaced by a man named Xavier Thorne. After surviving the boarding school, Xavier worked as a dishwasher by day and taught himself high-level finance and computer coding in libraries by night. He was brilliant and ruthless. By age 30, he had secretly built Blackwood Holdings, a private investment firm that moved like a ghost through the markets. Meanwhile, Silas Vance was aging, and his favored son Caspian had become a reckless playboy. Under Caspian's mismanagement, Vance Bank was hemorrhaging money. Xavier saw his opening. He quietly bought 15% of Vance Bank's shares through shell companies. Then, he sent Silas an anonymous offer. "I can save your bank, but I want a seat on the board of directors." Silas, desperate and having long forgotten the son he discarded, accepted the help of this mysterious savior, the Trojan horse. Xavier entered the glass towers of Vance Bank. Silas was impressed by Xavier's sharp intellect, never suspecting that this man was the boy he had abandoned with $20. Xavier played his role perfectly, even befriending Caspian. He encouraged Caspian's addiction to high-stakes, illegal trading, acting as a mentor while actually leading him toward a legal abyss. At night, Xavier used his high-level access to hack into the Vance family's private servers. He uncovered the truth. Encrypted files showing how Eleanor had faked Adrian's mother's medical records to institutionalize her and marry Silas. He also found evidence of Silas's massive tax evasion and money laundering schemes. Xavier didn't just want to take their money. He wanted to destroy their souls. Every piece of the puzzle was now in place. The Gala of Doom, the 100th anniversary gala of Vance Bank, was held at the Waldorf Astoria. The elite of New York were in attendance. Silas stood on stage to thank Xavier for saving the bank. When Xavier took the microphone, he didn't give a speech. Instead, he pulled a crumpled $20 bill from his pocket and threw it at Silas's feet. "Do you remember this, Silas? A father gave this to his son the night he threw him out like trash." The room went silent. Xavier signaled his team, and the massive screens in the ballroom began playing the recordings of Eleanor's confessions and displaying Silas's offshore tax fraud documents. "My name is Adrian Vance," he declared. As the crowd gasped, FBI agents entered the hall. Caspian was arrested for securities fraud, while Silas and Eleanor were taken into custody for conspiracy and tax evasion. The foreclosure. The next morning, Adrian arrived at the Vance family mansion, the very building he was kicked out of as a child. But he wasn't a guest. He was the new owner. He had used Blackwood Holdings to legally seize the property as collateral for the bank's debts. Silas, out on bail but stripped of his assets, stood on the sidewalk as movers threw his expensive furniture into the street. Adrian walked down the grand stairs and met his father's eyes. He handed Silas back the original $20 bill, now framed in a small case. "You told me I wasn't worthy of the Vance name," Adrian said calmly. "You were right. That's why I'm changing the name of this bank and this house to Isabella Heights, after my mother." Eleanor was sent to prison for life after the evidence of her poisoning Adrian's mother came to light. The broken crown. The revenge continued beyond the courtroom. Adrian made sure that Caspian's time in prison was reflective of his own childhood. He used his influence to ensure Caspian was assigned to the laundry and kitchen shifts, the same hard labor Adrian had done to survive. He wanted Caspian to understand that without the Vance name, he was nothing. Adrian then funded a series of investigative reports in the New York Times detailing every dark secret of Silas's career. The man who once prided himself on being a pillar of society was now a national pariah. Adrian auctioned off Silas's collection of vintage cars and rare art, donating every cent to foster care agencies and orphanages across the country. He proved he didn't want the wealth. He wanted the justice Silas had denied him. The final visit. Silas was eventually moved to a state-run nursing home, living in a small, sterile room, a far cry from his gilded penthouse. Adrian visited him one last time. Silas, frail and broken, began to weep. "Adrian, I was wrong. Eleanor deceived me. Please, give me another chance." Adrian looked at him with no hatred, only a cold, hollow indifference. "You weren't deceived, Silas," Adrian replied. "You chose power over your own blood. You thought I was weak, but I am the one standing, and you are the one forgotten." Adrian told him he wouldn't let him go to jail because being a nobody in a city he once owned was a worse punishment. "Gaps in history are filled by people like me. You are now just a gap." Adrian walked out and never looked back. The legacy of light. A year later, Adrian Vance had transformed the old Vance Bank into a global foundation that provided free education and housing for abandoned children. He married a woman who loved him for his heart, not his bank account. They had a son, but Adrian didn't name him after any Vance. He named him after the janitor who had shared his bread with Adrian during his darkest days in boarding school. On his office wall, Adrian kept the $20 bill as a reminder. It wasn't a symbol of pain anymore, but a symbol of his victory over a broken system. Silas Vance died in obscurity, but the name Isabella Heights became synonymous with hope in New York. Adrian didn't just get revenge, he built a world where no child would ever have to walk 3 miles in the rain with a garbage bag.